Dead Channel Duo Podcast, episode number 82. How you doing, Alexander?
I'm doing pretty well, Andy. How are you?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, like
I'm
every
getting
week.
through it, man. Yeah, I'm getting through it. As more and more information becomes available, and I tweeted about it today, and I'm not going to get political here, but it seems to me that a lot of this, all of this economy shut down and everything, it's seeming more and more like there might have been some politics behind all of it, but I won't go into that. That's a little bit frustrating. Other than that, I've been doing pretty well this week, and I've been pretty busy. Pretty busy. Did some what's been going on with me this week. So regular work week, had a 3-day weekend, spent the full 3-day weekend with my wife. It was amazing. Had a lot of really good quality time together, did some fun things around the house, and we even did curbside pickup for some new IKEA furniture for her office and put that together. I was amazed with IKEA's curbside pickup. It's crazy how efficient they are, and in doing something that I don't think that they were prepared for, but it was amazing. We drove right up, and you give them the information and you get in a line with it's like a big old giant drive through, and then eventually you get to the front of the line, they throw the stuff in the back of your car, they shut the door, and you drive off. It's amazing. So it was a really cool weekend, and got to watch and play quite a few things in my downtime. So that's a good segue into the traditional segment here. Andy, what have you been watching? What have you been playing this week?
Finished Halo 2 and 3.
Ooh, those are good picks.
Yeah, I mean, you can see a trend
Well,
if you listen to all the episodes where I'm going through them.
well, yeah, but I mean that's quite an accomplishment to get through both of those in one week. I mean
I mean,
that
we
took
beat
me a
Halo
little bit
3 in a
longer.
day, so.
Yeah, I kind of cherished it a little bit. I think like what I was doing is I was kind of savoring it when I played Halo 3. I kind of played it a little bit each night just so that I could kind of extend the experience. How did you like them?
There's going to be a video on that,
Oh, okay, I look forward to that.
probably,
Anyway,
if I actually
keep
make
going.
it. But,
Well, as a Halo fan, I'm sorry for interrupting, but I just had to get your take, so
no, I
please continue.
am open to you interrupting.
Okay.
I rewatched the David Lynch short that came out earlier this year called "What Did Jack Do?" at a party. It's my favorite thing to throw on whenever I get the chance, just to see people's reactions to it. And no one, every time people are like, "Why did you make us watch this?" And I just think it's hilarious.
I mean,
It's a
you know,
17-minute short on Netflix called "What Did Jack Do?" I would check it out.
yeah.
It's only 17 minutes. Check it out. It's legendary filmmaker David Lynch interrogating a monkey for 17 minutes.
I I kind of have to see this now.
Yeah,
I totally have to see this now.
it's great. Um, it's my favorite thing that came out in 2020 so far. Um, that my two favorite things that came out in 2020 are both shorts, which is wild. I wouldn't think I'd
Mhm.
ever say that in May, but Goldman versus Silverman by the Safdie brothers and that are both fantastic.
Okay.
Um, the Double or Nothing pay per view from AEW.
Okay.
Love everything AEW's doing. Love that pay per
Yeah.
view. Stadium Stampede match was iconic, legendary. It's gonna be cherished for a long time. It was great.
I like that they brought that back.
Um, and then I watched The Blair Witch Project from 1999.
Mm. Kind of a divisive movie. Some people really love it. Some people really think it's junk.
It's
Not
a
a whole lot in between.
it's a groundbreaking movie.
I would agree with you there. It wasn't really my cup of tea, but I do respect it for what it brought to the business.
Yeah, I mean it's not the first found footage movie.
Yeah.
The Cannibal, I don't know what the first would be, but Cannibal Holocaust did that in like 1982. I think is when Cannibal Holocaust came out. But the more groundbreaking and revolutionary point of it is the marketing, where they
Hmm.
use the internet. They're like the first movie to ever use the internet to market their movie, and they made everyone think that this was like a real thing, and it's kind of wild. Because back then you couldn't like, the internet wasn't developed to the point to where you can just like Google, "Hey, is this real?"
The internet was definitely in. I realized the internet had existed for a long time before
Yeah.
the time period that we're talking about, but the internet was definitely still in its infancy. And when I say that, I mean many, many, many homes didn't even have internet access. They
Yeah.
didn't even see it as necessary. So you're absolutely right.
And also their IMDb pages also said that they were missing all the actors. So
Yeah.
even if you were like trying to look it up on IMDb, it led you. It was just it spawned all like viral marketing stuff.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that's it. That's all. Oh, and obviously the film club pick this week, the cable guy.
Well, anything you've been playing this week at all, or
Yeah, Halo 2 and
well,
3.
other than I'm sorry, other than Halo
We
2 and
skipped
3,
my highlight, by the way.
what's the
I
highlight?
went to a bar
Oh,
and I got home from the bar, put on an episode of The Office, then threw up a couple times and instantly passed out. So that's how my week was.
well, hey man, you're young. Something that happens occasionally, you know.
Yeah.
So this week I've been watching a lot of I guess you could call it just like series, if you will. So I've been watching The Last Dance. I am completely new to that. I didn't before we recorded the last episode, I hadn't watched a single episode of it, but I'm watching that with my wife and I'm really enjoying it, thoroughly enjoying it. Obviously, I've been continuing to binge watch here and there, not as much as the previous weeks, but Big Bang Theory. Still enjoying that, but I am getting to that point in the show where it becomes less about, I guess you could call it like the fish out of water slash nerd culture humor, and it becomes more relationship based rom com style humor. And that's kind of one of the criticisms that towards the end of the show that it totally made sense to me. Did watch a few episodes of I don't know what they're exactly what they're calling it, but it's on Disney Plus. They're doing the behind the scenes series on The Mandalorian. Originally, I thought it was just 2 episodes where they covered behind the scenes, but apparently it's like an ongoing series. So I watched another 2 of those tonight, and those were both really great. And watched X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past. Really enjoyed those. First time watching those as well. I just never saw them. I don't know why. I liked X-Men 2000, X2, X3. I didn't really like as much as the other 2, but I did enjoy the X-Men movies, the first trilogy, I guess, if you will. But I never saw, I guess you could call it the next trilogy. And thus far, they're pretty good. I like them a little bit more. And I'm looking forward to watching the next one, Logan, uh, Wolverine Origins at some point, and then eventually Dark Phoenix. I don't know when I'll actually see that. I'm
Oops.
waiting for it to go on sale. So yeah, watch that, and then catching up on doing American Dad. I'm kind of working my way through that series as well, and then watch the Cable Guy, the Film Club pick. And as far as playing this week, it's been very heavy on Animal Crossing, a little bit of Madden 20, and a little bit of World of Warcraft. But generally speaking, it's been very heavy on Animal Crossing. Me and my wife are really getting into that game. Like I was already into it, but we're really into it now. And
Yeah.
it's a great game. I highly recommend it. If you want something that you can play with your family, or maybe something that you can play with your friends, or both, I think Animal Crossing New Horizons is a really good one. Even if you're new to the series, you could jump right in. It's pretty easy to pick
No,
up
you
and
got to
play.
play all the other Animal Crossings to get it.
It's very heavy
Yeah.
on the lore. You have to know the lore.
You can't
And
understand the game unless you play the Japanese, the one that didn't come out in America, the first Animal Crossing game, and
the
then
one on N64,
you got to play
yeah.
all of them,
I
even
was actually telling my wife
Pocket
about
whatever.
that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I forget the exact name of it, but I do. I was telling my wife, I was explaining to her, like, because I've been playing Animal Crossing since the very first one on GameCube here in North America. But obviously, the one on GameCube is pretty much a straight up port of the original N64 title. It came out very late in the N64 life cycle, only in Japan. They didn't really think it would come over here and do well. So I don't think they brought it over. But then eventually, I guess somebody at Nintendo convinced them to
Yeah.
port it to GameCube, put it over here in North America, add some enhancements, and then we got, the very first Animal Crossing, and it kind of developed as a cult classic, if you will, and then it gained a little bit better of a following. But it's just so encouraging to see a new generation play it. Like my one friend, he has a daughter who just turned 4, and she's really enjoying the game, and I'm like, wow, it's kind of crazy how generational it is, because my buddy, he played it when he was a young adult, loved it, and now he's passed it on to his kids. So it's kind of like the Sonic movie, where it's really refreshing and neat to see a new generation embracing a classic video game franchise character, whatever you want to call
You segue to the first topic. I have a
it.
secret topic.
Oh, secret topic. Do
Alex,
we have any listener questions this week before
no,
I get yelled at on Twitter?
we don't. And if we do,
Okay.
I don't care. All right.
Woo! Okay, starting off great.
People like to quote us that we ask for questions. I don't want questions anymore. Just don't send them. Moving on to the first secret topic.
I am completely speechless right now. Please send your questions. I don't agree with this.
Secret topic. Alex, sell me on Sonic. What is the one Sonic game I should play?
Sonic Generations.
All right.
Yeah. So I would give you a more, and to give the listeners who
The
maybe
second half of that question is Sonic
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore. So continue going.
Okay. So before I give you my Mount Rushmore, I would tell you, if you're telling me you want something that's a more modern Sonic game, I'm going to tell you Sonic Generations, because I feel like that's the best mix of old school and new school. But if you're looking for a 2D, like a traditional side-scrolling Sonic, I would tell you Sonic 3 or Sonic Mania. As far as my Mount Rushmore, I'm going to... For me, I know some people are going to disagree with me on this. You cannot have one without Sonic Generations. I feel like it's the most complete, the best, the most well thought out, the best gameplay of any Sonic game I've ever played, and that's saying a lot because I like them all. Even the ones that aren't so popular or have been kind of derided over the years, like Sonic 06. So I'm going to put Sonic Generations. I think you have to put Sonic Mania. I think Sonic Mania is the closest thing to a Sonic 4 that we ever really got. I would argue that there is a Sonic 4, but I don't really consider it Sonic 4. The Sonic Mania is really the true successor to the side-scrolling 2D versions. And then third and fourth one, I'm going to say Sonic Adventure 1 for what it brought to the series. That was totally new. It was the first 3D game. It was done well, but at the same time, I almost want to go with Sonic Adventure 2 DX instead, because I feel like it was the best iteration of any of the Sonic Adventure games. But I'm going to go with Sonic Adventure 1, Sonic Mania, Sonic Generations, and then I gotta go Sonic. I'm gonna say Sonic 3, and I want to say Sonic 1, and I don't want to hate on 2 either, because they're both great games, but Sonic 3 was the best one on Genesis by far. It was just outstanding, and it got so much out of that Genesis hardware that I didn't even know. Like, as a kid, it kind of blew my mind, kind of like Super Mario 3 did on the NES. Like, when you look at Super Mario 3, it looks so remarkably better than 1 and 2, and it plays much better than Mario 1 and 2. I don't care if you disagree with me, sue me. Sonic 3, it's the same way. I feel like it got so much out of that Genesis hardware. So, yeah, Sonic Generations, Sonic Mania, Sonic Adventure 1, Sonic 3.
Yeah.
Do you have one, Andy?
I've never played a Sonic game, so...
What?
I've never beat a Sonic... That's a lie. I've never beat a Sonic game. I mean, I feel like everyone has touched a Sonic game if they're, like, somewhat, a gamer, you know? It's just one of those games like Mario where you at some point you've had to play it at some point?
It's tough to pick just four though. There's some really good ones in there that I didn't even like really talk about. Like,
Yeah.
Sonic Heroes is to me it's chronically
Sonic
underrated.
06.
No, I think I'm biased when it comes to Sonic 06. Like I truly enjoyed it and I still enjoy playing it, but it is a flawed game and I don't think that they were ready for that next generation and the leap that it brought from a design perspective. So I totally get why people maybe don't like it. I
Yeah.
just and I want to be really clear here when I say this. I love Game Grumps and I love Angry Video Game Nerd and I think the content that they create is good and it's charming and it's funny and it's witty and it's creative. But I do kind of dislike that their coverage of Sonic 06 has led to people really piling on the game more than maybe they did before. But I don't think that that was really their intention. They were just trying to make fun content that everybody liked.
I mean,
So, there's to me, I look at their coverage of just that one game, okay? Because I'm not saying that they're negative towards everything. But I mean, because obviously the angry video game
I
nerd,
mean,
that's a character. That's a
yeah, that's
character.
what I was
It's
gonna
not the
say. It's
actual guy,
very
right?
hyperbolized.
Yeah, it's definitely yeah. Yeah, that's a really good word to use. And um with Game Grumps, I don't know that they're really playing characters because I think it's just them playing games, but the name is Game Grumps. They kind of make fun of games, as they play them.
When they're trying to make
And
entertaining content.
well, yeah, they're just trying to make entertaining content. They crack a lot of jokes, and some of those are at the expense of the game, and some of those aren't. And I actually thought their playthrough of Sonic 06 was really good. I'm sorry. I hate that they didn't finish it, but yeah, overall, I do kind of. It's just like in what's the word I'm looking for? It's an inadvertent and unfortunate byproduct of their content is that people now like, oh, Sonic 06 is one of the worst games of all time, and it's not. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just not. I mean, is it one of the worst Sonic games of all time? Sure, you could sell me on that all day, but there's a lot worse out there that you could play.
Hmm.
So that's my Sonic rant. Sorry, guys.
Going back to the Sonic 3 and like the Sonic 1 2 thing,
Yeah.
very similar to Halo. I'm not gonna get
Hmm.
into it because I'm probably gonna make like a big video about it, but
Hmm.
Halo 3 is definitely like you can see Halo 1 did its own thing. Halo 2 is very different from Halo 1. And then Halo 3 is a kind of a
Yes.
combination of those two of what made those two games great.
It's to me, no pun intended, because the name of the first game is Combat Evolved. It is an evolution.
Yeah. Like
And I do feel like it gets stronger as time goes on. And I do think that one of the cool things about Halo, and some people might disagree with me on this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. You could tweet us or send me an email or whatever. But, you know, because I would like to get input on this from other people that have other perspectives. But I do feel like they took a lot of fan and user feedback over the years to kind of improve the game. Because with one, it was cherished as this amazing single player experience that also had a multiplayer component that wasn't, it came out too soon for online play. You had to use tunneling software if you wanted to play online against friends, and that was a workaround, and I did that. I used tunneling software to play with people across the country before Xbox Live was even a thing. And then Halo 2, they understood that it was going to be mostly about the multiplayer because it was one of the first big Xbox Live enabled titles to come out, even though it didn't come out right when Xbox Live came out. It came out within the same year. And then, they took feedback from people who really disliked the Arbiter portion of the Halo 2 campaign. I remember a lot of people really just didn't like it. It just didn't land. And with Halo 3, it went back to being just about Master Chief. And I think fans appreciated that. And I feel like with Halo 3 we really did get, like you said, I feel like it was really the best of the trilogy, if you will. We got an amazing campaign and we got amazing multiplayer, and it was all in one package.
And you got ODST.
I'm one of those weird people who thought ODST worked. And the reason I really liked ODST is because it still felt like Halo. And I started a playthrough of ODST on my channel. I never finished it, and I hate that.
Go finish it.
I really should. That'd be
It's
a
not a
trip,
long
wouldn't
game
it?
at all.
No, it's not. But I was really enjoying the playthrough of it because I had played it about, oh geez, when I was doing the playthrough, I probably played it about 5 or 6 years, 7, 8 years prior, whenever it first came out. And ODST was just a really good single player experience that kind of felt like something from the Halo universe, a little different. But I like that the aim was we're going to create something. It's going to be a single player only experience. It'll also have the Halo 3 multiplayer experience as well, but it won't be an ODST specific multiplayer experience. But it was good. It was good. I don't know. I think time has been better to that game than the initial reception would tell you.
Hmm.
Did you like ODST? Have you played it yet?
We're currently working on it.
Oh, okay.
Um, I've never really played it when I was a kid.
Yeah, a lot of people skipped over it. The one thing that really helped it sell was that in the box, it came with, when I worked at GameStop, I remember very specifically, it came out and it was 2 discs, and corporate was like really clear. You need to get both discs when it gets traded in. And the first disc was ODST, the second disc was Halo 3, but multiplayer only, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it also came, you could use, I want to say you could use the second disc to get access to a Halo 4 multiplayer beta that I think lasted about a week. And I remember people buying the game just for that. Kind of like people buying
Crackdown.
Zone of, that's a good example. Or people buying Zone of the Enders specifically just to get the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo on the PlayStation 2. So,
Yeah, Crackdown and Halo 3 beta.
you know, I actually like that Microsoft did that. And the reason I say that is I think there's a lot of people who bought Crackdown, maybe did it just for the Halo 3 demo, and that first Crackdown game was the best Crackdown game they ever made. IMHO. I know some people disagree with me, but anyway. Speaking of games,
Yeah.
just want to talk about this week regarding Madden 21. Just want to talk about a cool experience that I had this week. So someone that works at EA Tiburon that I kind of talk to here and there, but not frequently, definitely not close with them, never met them in person. I've just kind of talked to them through Twitter. They reached out to me recently and asked me for Madden 21 feedback or Madden 20 feedback. What would I like to see change? What did I like? What did I not like? What would I like to see continue, etc. And I sent him about 2, maybe 3 pages of notes. I mean, I just kind of went off at the keyboard. I mean, I was just typing, everything that I've really liked, disliked, and everything in between about Madden 20. And I just wanted to give EA credit where credit's due, because I realized that a lot of times on this show, I will criticize EA for not listening to the fans and not listening to content creators and not listening to even the game changers that are part of their EA Game Changer program. But I got to say, I was taken aback that they proactively reached out to me and said, could you send me feedback? And initially I kind of like laughed it off. I was like, I don't think that they really want this. Like, I think the guys kind of just send me the feedback.
Yeah.
They reached out 2 more times before I actually sent them notes. And then to go a step further, they sent me notes on my notes
Huh.
explaining like, we've heard this feedback. This is something that we're looking to resolve. This is something that we're working on fixing, or this is something that we can't fix. They told me in one
Yeah.
specific scenario, they were like, this is something that we really don't know how to we don't know how to do this without breaking something else, is the way it was explained to me, which makes sense. I mean, that's an acceptable answer. And I was just kind of taken aback by the transparency of it all and the willingness to accept feedback. And I feel like it's kind of like EA turning over a new leaf. I never expected this from anybody that worked at EA, and I can confirm that this guy works at EA. I mean, I'm not gonna put the guy's name out
Yeah,
there,
that's what I was
but
gonna ask. Is like, I think I know who you're talking about, but are we?
yeah, you know who I'm talking
Yeah.
about. And like, I to give you perspective, the last time I talked to this guy one on one was about a week before Madden 20 came out.
Yeah.
So it's not like we rub elbows frequently or anything like that. I was just I couldn't believe that somebody actually reached out to me, and then when I was talking to him, it really sounded like he had spoken with several other content creators, some that I knew, some that I didn't. And I think that that's good and that's growth. And I did want to take a moment to just say, one, cool experience. I'm way more excited about Madden 21 than I was before, even though I haven't seen any of it. The fact that they
Yeah.
know about these things and they're working to fix them, that's encouraging to me. And then the fact that they're willing to take feedback in the first place, that's something a little bit different than maybe what I would have expected 2 years ago from EA. And that's certainly refreshing as well. And, I hope they keep it up. And I hope you guys go out there and check out Madden 21. Undoubtedly, I think for the last 3 years, they've done a beta each year. And I would encourage you guys to try and go out there, get a beta code, and maybe give the game a shot, because they are taking feedback into account now from just random content creators like myself. I don't have a huge following.
And number
Jesus Christ, look at this
73 or
podcast.
whatever on the
I'm
Madden
number
Power Rankings.
79. I am the number 79 ranked
I
Madden
feel like
content creator on
it's definitely
YouTube.
lower than that now. No offense, but I mean, I'm saying
Boy,
it's
I
been
think
so
every
long
week
since that website was made that
I
there's been
think
more YouTubers.
yeah, and I think every week you just try to give me some kind of backhanded compliment, or
Yeah.
some backhanded
I'm just
comment,
spitting
compliment.
facts.
No, man, I'm
I
sick of
wouldn't
it,
do it if I
man.
didn't like you. You know, if I didn't like you, I just wouldn't say anything.
In the words of the great Sammy Hagar, the Red Rocker, he says it only hurts if it's true. So there you go. Anyway, moving on.
I
PGA
didn't even
Tour.
make that website. He didn't even list me on there at all.
I
So
know, but I guess here's my take. Uh, I've grown since that list was made, so
I'm just saying,
I would argue that I've probably maintained
let's look at this
at
like
least.
a river, or like
Um,
he made that list at the Delta. All right, let's hypothetically. And since that list has came out, there's now a huge lake of more Madden YouTubers.
yeah, and what I would tell you is that there's a lot that have left that were above me, and I've doubled my subscriber count since that list was made. But anyway, let's just move on before I get really pissed off. So, PGA Tour 2K21 was announced, and this kind of came out of left field for me. And I just want to talk about this really quickly, because I don't really know that I've talked to Andy about golf games before. So I was a huge fan of the Tiger Woods series when it came out. I played it on the original Xbox. I played it on PSP when they came out with the PSP version. I've played it on Xbox 360, Xbox One, you name it. I, I love the series. I was sad to see it go. I hate that EA stopped making PGA Tour games, and I know they've had things like the Golf Club, but this one made by
Is that
2K.
EA?
What?
Golf Club.
No, so Golf Club isn't. So EA, the last one they made was the
Rory
Rory
McIlroy.
McIlroy. Yeah. And then they came out with a couple Golf Club games, and that was originally, I think, an indie developer who kind of
Yeah.
grew.
That's what I was questioning. You made it sound like EA made those. I was like, I don't think EA made those.
Yeah, my bad. But you're right. So that is a a separate company, and then apparently 2K has partnered with them to create this PGA Tour 2K21. It's coming out August 21st on the Xbox One, PS4, and I believe PC as well. So I'm really excited about this. You guys know one of my favorite games of all time, believe it or not, is Tiger Woods Golf '09. Thought it was one of the best iterations of the series. Have a lot of good memories with it. Andy, do you like golf games? Would you be interested in this when it comes out?
What do you think I'm gonna say?
If I had to guess, I'd say that you probably do play golf games.
I thought you would have said I don't. Yeah, I enjoy golf games. I enjoy Power Star Golf. It's a Xbox One launch title. Every once in
Oh, I
a
remember
while, I
that.
go back and
Yeah.
play that one. I don't know. It's just golf games can be the most frustrating game ever. But it's just it's like a peaceful time.
Yeah, I used to find Tiger Woods really relaxing. That's one of the reasons I would play it. I
You know,
would try to play one round of Tiger Woods a night.
if you miss a couple putts, it can become very anger-inducing.
Yeah.
But it's pretty. I enjoy more of the arcadey ones, like I said, Power Star Golf or Hot Shots.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
But Outlaw Golf, I just remember that one. I played that. I owned that game as a kid, and then I played it like a year ago, and I was like, why was I allowed to play this game? It's an R-rated or M-rated golf game.
Yeah. It was definitely a mature game.
Um,
I
but
do
yeah,
remember it.
I don't know. I probably won't buy it if I'm being honest.
Hmm.
But it's not like I would never touch it type of thing. It's just
Yeah,
I'm at a point in my life where I'm not really buying new games.
that's true. I get that. So I'm a day one customer for this, and I think I've made it clear why. And I agree with Andy as far as the, I guess you call them like the more arcadey golf games. I've really liked quite a few of those over the years.
Yeah.
So Mario Golf on the GameCube, one
Oh,
of my
yeah.
favorite
Classic.
games
I
of
don't know
all
why I mentioned
time.
that. The N64 one.
And yeah, the N64 version was really good. And then they did Toadstool Tour on GameCube, and me and my brother played that endlessly. I mean, it just
Yeah.
hundreds of hours probably poured into that one. And then once that like the Xbox came out, and Mario Golf, I don't really even remember the last iteration that they came out with.
I'm sure there's
And I know they
3DS
don't
one.
have, yeah, they don't. I played that; it was really good, but I don't know that they have one on the Switch. I'm pretty
No.
sure they don't. So, and they didn't come out with one on Wii U. I know that for sure. But yeah, like I got into Tiger Woods in '05, '04, somewhere around there. And I just fell in love with the series, man. I found myself buying it every single year at launch. So I'm glad that PGA Tour games are back, and I look forward to playing this one. And I hope that even though it's the first time they're coming out with this particular series, I hope that it's not a really stripped down version. But
Yeah.
I guess time will
I mean,
tell.
technically it's the third in the series. If you want to
True.
do the golf club.
Fair point.
Um,
Fair point.
I have like a very vivid memory with Tiger Woods. I don't know why, but when I was a kid, I had to be like 5 or 6 because I was at my old house, and also my dad was alive at the time. Um, we got rid of our carpet and got hardwood floors, and I don't know why I remember in my playing Tiger Woods in my mom's bedroom on the GameCube. Just like this weird vivid memory I have.
No, I get that. I get that. I have those weird, vivid memories of like random gaming events. So, like, I remember when I was 4, sitting in my bedroom in a tiny house that my parents bought in Ocoee, Florida, my hometown. Still live there. And I remember it was like a hot summer day, but it had like a really nice breeze in the air. So we opened all the windows, and it's kind of crazy that I remember that because I was 4, right? And I just remember sitting there playing Tetris on my little tiny TV and NES in my bedroom. and one of the neighbor kids came up to the window and was like, "Hey, why do you have your windows open? Can I borrow that game?" And they wanted to borrow my copy of Tetris, and my mom said no.
Get
And
wrecked, kid.
I'm glad she said that because I was having fun with Tetris. I didn't want to give that up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like you have those weird, vivid memories. Is there anything consequential about what happened that day? Some kid coming up to the window and asking me if you can borrow Tetris, and my
No,
mom
just a
saying
weird
no.
memory.
Hell no. Yeah, it's just a weird memory, but I remember that so distinctly. So distinctly. It's kind of odd how your brain works sometimes.
There's some of those where I mention them to like friends, where like I'll be like, "Do you remember this day?" I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And like the further you get along the story, they're like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, I have a friend who I won't name them. I stopped bringing up old stories around them because it infuriates me how they don't remember anything.
Oh, I get you.
They blame it on bad memory, but I think it's because they don't want to remember situations where they were wrong sometimes. I'm just saying. I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know. I have very horrible pre like middle school. I have very horrible memory because I think of experienced a traumatic event
Yeah.
of losing my father, and I think that I subconsciously just like forgot everything.
No, that definitely happens. Like I don't know how to describe it as someone so like when my father died, I was
3.
little bit under 4, so I was almost 4. And
Oh,
then when my stepfather died,
yeah.
I was 14. Yeah, 14. And both of those times in my life, I remember a few things really distinctly, but everything else, it's like a fog, if
Yeah.
that makes sense mentally. And I don't remember any, like, so that whole freshman year of high school, I remember almost nothing.
Yeah. I got you.
Because that's when
I
my
feel the same way.
stepdad died. Yeah, I think your brain. I don't know, man. I think that's part of the grieving process. I could be wrong. I don't know. We should get a psychiatrist on the show, and they could tell us.
Or a fake one.
That might be more
We can have
interesting.
Bangle on. Bangle just like has like a mustache and he acts like a
Yeah,
psychiatrist all the time. I don't know.
yeah. And
Next,
he just tells us we're wrong for an hour.
yeah. So moving on to DCD Film Club. This week, uh, we have a fan pick from Daniel from The Reasons I'm Broke. It is The Cable Guy from 1994, directed by Ben Stiller, and it is a comedy movie starring Matthew Broderick, Jim Carrey. I can't think of what the female's name is.
Leslie Mann.
Leslie Mann. It's from 1996. I got that wrong. But, yeah, Alexander, what'd you think of it?
So I realize that I am going to be incredibly biased when it comes to this particular film. And
Technically,
the
everyone's biased about
reason
everything, but
Okay, but I mean, my bias for this is definitely
you grew up with it.
palatable, if you will. No, I wouldn't say I grew up with it.
It
You know,
came
it's
out
kind
when
of
you
interesting.
were 12?
And my parents wouldn't let me watch it.
Huh.
And,
Oh.
I remember my stepdad. So I remember my stepdad and my mom rented this, and I got to watch a little bit of it,
Yeah.
but eventually I seem to remember being told I couldn't watch it anymore.
Hmm.
And I think part of that's because there are quite a few risque parts in this film, and this came out when I would have been 10 when this released. So, um, going on the edge of turning 11, but this came out right around then, and I remember my stepdad loved it. My mom thought it was stupid. And a lot of people had a very similar reaction to that of my mother. And there's probably good reason for that. You know, a lot of people remember Jim Carrey, like my mom. She was introduced to Jim Carrey from his work on Living Color. And then he did some films such as Ace Ventura
The
2,
Mask.
The
Ace
Mask. And
Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber. That's why I said 1994 to begin with, by the way. Those three movies came out in
yeah.
1994. It's like a
Oh, okay.
revolutionary year for
Okay.
Jim Carrey.
Okay, so all three of those came out a little bit before
Yeah.
this then. So, but overall, like, as an adult, I did go back and I did rewatch it. I fell in love with it. I kind of like it as you could call it a dark comedy, if you will. And I like a lot of the referential humor. I think that's one of the things in this film that really came across to me was watching it with my wife. She didn't get all the references, So like, there's one scene where it's a reference to the $6 Million Man. There's a reference to My Three Sons. There is another reference to the original Star Trek TV series. Now, these are all things that my wife hasn't seen. She's just too young for them. And these are things that I actually had to go back and see for myself. I was too young for a couple of those. And had I not gone back and watched them later on, or seen them in syndication in some cases, I would not have gotten some of the referential humor.
Yeah.
So I do understand that some people may watch this, be confused, not find it funny, and say it's bad. And I really distinctly remember there was a joke on The Simpsons right after this came out where Homer talked about like this almost killed Jim Carrey's career. And the reason that was so funny as a joke is because it was true. Like, there were a lot of people who really thought this was the end of Jim Carrey as a comedy star. So, it is a little bit of a controversial film, just from a critical reception and public reception standpoint. However, I will say this. I think that it's really funny. I think that it's really successful as a comedy, and I love it. I laugh every time I watch it. I think that there's some really good cinematography here. I think they really did a great job with, the $6 Million Man reference. They filmed it in a way that made it look like $6 Million Man. When they do other references to other TV shows, like the scene in the restaurant where he beats up Owen Wilson, that's filmed in a very specific manner, and it's done in a very specific way. Like, it feels very far removed and very different from the rest of the film. The way they shot it, the attitude, the tone, if you will, of the scene, and I like that. But at the same time, again, I realize some people, especially if they don't get the referential humor, would look at it and go, well, this just feels out of place. It's just it's all over the place from a tonal standpoint as well. But I'm one of the people who thinks that it's really funny. So I think the writing's good. I think that the referential humor still holds up, even though it is, I guess you could call it topical, if you will. Filmed really well. Acting performances were outstanding. I think Jim Carrey really was believable as this creepy cable guy speaking with a lisp. I don't know how he pulled that off so convincingly, but he does, and it's good. Matthew Broderick is the perfect straight man. He really is. I think that they couldn't have gotten a better guy who is funny in his own right to play the straight man to Jim Carrey, to kind of have that character based in reality to bounce things off of. And I think that's what makes it successful is Matthew Broderick seems like the John Everyman. He feels very believable as just an everyday guy going through a bad breakup. But then you have Jim Carrey. He's this really out there character, like almost cartoonish, like a caricature, if you will. And it doesn't work if you don't have that other character grounded in reality for him to bounce off of.
Sonic.
Exactly. Leslie Mann, I can't stand her character in this movie, and I shouldn't. She's supposed to be a character that you just really don't like that much. And I think that's indicative of her performance being a good one. I think this is one of Jim Carrey's strongest movies. I think it's really funny. Ben Stiller did an amazing job on this. My wife was surprised to see that he directed this film, and really great performances. But also, they were kind of like more cameos or smaller bit parts. You got some really good people in here. Jack Black, Janine Garofalo, Owen Wilson. Very early Jack Black, a very early Janine Garofalo, very early Owen Wilson. and then you got David Cross, Andy Dick, and Bob Odenkirk in here. There's a lot of really good future stars in this, and they're all funny in their own right. It's tremendous. I realize I'm biased. I love it. Also, great use of score. They couldn't, they couldn't use all. So, like, for example, when they make an I Love Lucy reference, they can't play the I Love Lucy theme. They don't have the rights to that. But they composed a piece of music that plays for like 10 seconds. But it sounds, when you hear it, you know what it's a reference to. And it's good. It's a really good use of score. And it was very creative. And there's really nothing else like it. As I said, I think it's one of Jim Carrey's greatest performances. And I think anybody out there who likes Jim Carrey, and maybe you've liked some of his other stuff that isn't the typical Jim Carrey film, like maybe The Truman Show or Eternal Sunshine of the Mind or whatever the hell that thing's called. I always forget the name of it, but it's a good movie. Check this one out. It's good. It's on Amazon Prime. If you pay for Amazon Prime, you can watch it for free. It's also on Crackle. You can watch on Crackle for absolutely free. Andy, how'd you feel about this one?
Before I forget, Eternal Sunshine, by the way, written by... I'm going to lose his name. All right, what's his name? Hold on, give me a second. It's written by the guy who directed Synecdoche, New York. Charlie Kaufman. Fun fact.
When you say, whenever you bring up Synecdoche in New York, I know this is weird, but how can I put it? Have you ever watched a movie and the character's performance is so good you almost feel like it's a real story? Philip Seymour Hoffman's performance is so good. When you said, yeah, he was the guy who directed Synecdoche, New York, I was about to say, oh, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Because he plays a director in the film.
He directs Synecdoche. Philip Seymour Hoffman in the movie Synecdoche, New York directs Synecdoche, New York.
He's so good, though. That was such a great performance by him, and that was such a great film.
It is.
Anyway, sorry. Go on, Andy. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine. As I said before, feel free to interrupt.
I'm so full of beans tonight. Anyway, go ahead.
I interrupt you a lot. Particularly with this movie, I'm gonna preface this with it's a comedy, so if you don't find it funny, then it doesn't work. I personally don't find this movie that funny, which means the movie doesn't really work for me. I didn't laugh at a single point in the movie. As you said, the performances were great. I don't like Jim Carrey. I don't like this style of Jim Carrey. I don't like as I said before, the 1994 The Mask, Ace Ventura. I like those better than these. But at some points it gets annoying, like in the Sonic movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I don't like him. I mean, the Truman Show, as you mentioned, and The Man on the Moon are both Jim Carrey movies that I find very fantastic, especially The Man on the Moon from 1999. Got to mention it.
Tremendous.
That movie is I cried at the end.
Yeah, I mean, The Truman Show really got me, and I think it kind of showed me that Jim Carrey could do a serious role. And then you get Man on the Moon, and not only was it Jim Carrey showing that he could do a serious role that also had funny things in it.
He can be a comedic actor in a more serious, which makes no sense if you...
It doesn't make any sense, but he makes
out
it
of
work.
Context, it doesn't really make sense. But I really recommend you check out Man on the Moon. I don't think it'll ever be a film club pick just because it's so. Maybe
I don't know.
It's just a different movie.
It might be, but I don't think that there's a better way. Like if somebody asked me who was Andy Kaufman,
Just watch that movie.
I'd be like, you need to watch that film because that'll give you a full and thorough explanation of who he was.
I went into it barely knowing who Andy Kaufman was.
And, I didn't really know either. And the reason I say that is because I just remember Andy Kaufman from his work on Taxi, because that's all I'd seen him in. You know, on Nick at Night, they used to
No
play
SNL.
reruns, and I used to watch it with my mom. No, I didn't. I never saw that. You know, like Taxi was the only thing that I had been exposed to that he had done, just because I
Yeah.
was so young.
But to get back to this movie,
Yeah,
I highly
please let's
recommend
get
Man in
back
the
to
Moon.
that.
I just prefer Jim Carrey in those roles. Matthew Broderick, um, he does play the perfect, like as you said, straight man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like in Election from 1999.
Yeah,
It just like it's funny to watch. I didn't find the movie funny, but it's funny to see this regular everyday guy getting these weird situations like an Election or this, where it's just like this average guy getting into like a really unfortunate situation.
yeah. I think that's where like I find the humor is, you know, just several things that jump off the page. You know, number one, the basketball game
Yeah.
scene, the medieval times scene, the party with the karaoke set, and then Jim Carrey like belts out this amazing version of Somebody to Love that I actually like more than the original song, which is saying a lot because I mean the original song is amazing, but this cable guy version, it's so good. Like it feels, I don't know, man. It just resonates with me. I kind of love it, and like I remember watching this and always thinking, I always kind of, I guess, sympathized with the Chip Douglas character because, like, I don't know, as a guy who didn't have a lot of friends growing up, I always thought, why doesn't Matthew Broderick want to be his friend? He seems like he'd be a pretty good friend. I mean, he's loyal. He
Yeah.
wants to be your friend. But I mean, like, I always kind of felt like I empathized and even sympathized with the Chip Douglas character. And I think I found him to be a very hard to dislike character. But then I've seen other people who watch it who even find it funny and they go, this guy's a nut job. Like, how could you ever feel sorry for him? I
I
think
mean,
it's one of those weird things where I think people kind
but
of
it's
the way
also
they receive it is going to vary from person to person, like a lot of
I
things.
mean it's also a play like it's impossible to make friends as an adult.
Dude, it's tough. I mean, you know, I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but you know, you're going to find this out, Andy, as you get older and older. You're probably already starting to see it. Like I've my group of friends has shrunk a lot. And a lot of people immediately chalk it up to, oh, well, they got married and they had kids and they stopped hanging out with you. That's not it. People change, they grow apart.
Yeah.
Um,
You know, like
I've
it's
had
not
a
like there's like a big like event that blew up and people fought. Just people grow distant.
yeah, you know, you grow distant, you get so caught up in your own nonsense sometimes that you kind of miss the things that are important.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent, but like I was telling my mom the other day, you know, like I feel like we don't hang out enough as a family, you know,
Yeah.
because like this has kind of reinforced to me, like I haven't seen my family since, well, I saw my mom from a distance on Mother's Day
Yeah.
because I'm so worried that I'm asymptomatic and I'm gonna give her this
I mean, you saw your
thing that's
sister. Like,
going on.
I feel like that was recently, but I feel like it wasn't at the same time.
No, I haven't seen my sister since.
Because there's one podcast where you and your sister got a little tipsy, and then Ashley texted me, "Yeah, Alex and his sister are hanging out."
Oh yeah, that must have been like right
I feel
around
like I was like,
Christmas.
I don't know, it was right before Christmas,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, we got ripped, man. It was pretty crazy. Anyway, yeah, like I just feel like we don't hang out enough, you know, with the people that we're really
Yeah.
close to, and this kind of touches on that. Like it's really hard to make new friends as an adult. I can't think of any new friends that I've made as an adult, and
This guy.
well, fair enough. But I
No, I
mean,
meant like,
like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
good example. I started working at a new job. There's this guy who I got hired the same day he did. We started the same day. We went through training together. This
Yeah,
guy asks me to go to lunch with him every single day, right? So I'm like,
yeah.
oh, this guy kind of wants to be my friend or whatever. So another coworker asked me, "Hey, you want to go get a drink afterwards?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, let me invite such and such guy over here that I just started with
Hmm.
at the same time." Dude totally blew me off. He was like, "Nah, man, I'm not interested." I
I,
was like,
I feel that
"Oh."
too, though.
I was like, "Oh."
It's not. It's not like it's hard to make friends or whatever. Like I have work friends,
Yeah.
but that's like its own universe, and you keep it separate from your real life. Like every
It's
time a work
weird.
friend is like, "Hey, do you want to hang out after work?" I'm like hesitant, and then like I mean, there's some people that I'm like, yeah, I'm down. Like there's like very few that I'm down, but like it's just like,
I don't know. That's crazy to me. But then again, I look at it and I go, again, I'm bringing my own personal bias into it. Daniel, of the reasons I'm broke,
yeah,
I consider him one of my best friends in the world. Guy I really trust, the guy who I consider to be a true friend. Met him at GameStop. Another friend who I think listens to the show occasionally, Memelo. That's another guy who I'm really close friends with. One of my best friends. I was the best man at his wedding. I know I could call Sean up for anything and he'd be there for me. Same with Daniel. Um, there's another Sean that I worked with where I got to be really close with him. And again, these are people that I met through GameStop,
yeah.
and we hung out when we worked together, and we hung out after we worked together. And I mean, in a weird way, they kind of did become my best friends. I don't really have any friends from high school. Well, I have one friend from high school, but um, that's it. So
That's what
I don't
my
know,
friends are still kind of high school
but
friends. But still
yeah,
kind of like Drake. Me and him weren't friends in high school, but
yeah, it's kind
we
of
went
funny
to
how
the
that
same high
works
school.
out. Yeah, my friend Sean that I was just mentioning, I found out we did go to West Orange. There was a little bit of an overlap there, but I didn't even know who he was
Hmm.
because it was 4,000 kids in that school. So
Yeah, me and Drake's
good
kind
chance
of weird.
that we never would have crossed paths.
So me and Drake weren't ever like friends in high school.
Yeah.
We parked near each other. We had classes together. He actually would watch my videos in class.
Oh, wow.
We had a computer class, and he was like on the other side. And he would watch my baseball videos, and every once I'd be like, "Yeah, I just love watching Andy play baseball," but we never like became
So
friends.
then,
But then
so then he
after high
kind of is a
school,
true friend because if you watch my videos, you're my friend.
uh, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but
If you're my okay, so if you know me in real life and you actually
oh,
watch my
I get what you're
content,
meaning. Yeah,
you know what I'm
but
saying?
like
Because
also,
like so many of my friends still come to me to this day and they'll go, "Yeah, man, I've never watched one of your YouTube videos." Thanks.
I don't know.
How am I supposed to react to that?
I just, my perspective is I kind of don't want to know if you do or don't. Like, there's some people like Drake. I'm perfectly content with it. Or you, because we
Oh
met through
yeah.
this. But like when someone like randomly goes, "Hey, I listened to the podcast," mention something about it. It's kind of like I don't. I appreciate you listen to the podcast, but I. It's still kind of weird to me when people like randomly mention it.
No, I got you because one of um Ashley's aunt,
Yeah.
who never really cared for me too much. She stumbled upon my YouTube channel
Yeah.
one way or another, and she was like, "Oh, I watched a bunch of your vlogs," and I'm like, "Oh God, no!" Because I'm sitting there thinking of all the stupid stuff I've done in vlogs, the
Yeah.
Bigfoot calls, the ridiculous discussions that I've
Yeah.
had, walking along the train tracks, crying about
Hmm.
AMP 3. I mean, and she's like, "Yeah, I sat there for about 2 hours and watched them all."
I don't. It's
I'm like,
just
"Oh
like
no." It feels weird.
there's also like no like there's no way that they could understand because it's not like they'd also make videos.
Yeah, and in a weird way, is it not like what we were just talking about, where like you want to keep your work
Mm-hmm.
friends separate from your actual life?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I kind of want to keep YouTube separate from the people who I actually know in
Yeah.
real
Like
life.
yeah.
I never, I'm terrible about this. I will wear a purpleswordfish.com t-shirt. I have a decal on my
Yeah.
car. I don't wear the shirt often, but I will wear one every once in a
I wear
while when I
one.
just feel like it. Yeah, and like I have the decal on my car, and it's on my social media
Yeah.
and all that. But I'll tell you right now, when people found out about it at work, I was embarrassed.
Yeah. It is
I was
embarrassing.
like, because you can
Yeah.
go through. I mean, I'm sure if you sat down, you went through hours and hours of my content, you'd hear me say something stupid
Mm-hmm.
at some point because I know I say stupid stuff all the time.
Yeah. Like
I
with
make jokes that
yeah
bomb,
with like you
you
and
know?
like Bangle though, it's like I find it yeah because there's like a small like camaraderie of we making videos.
There is like, I think that when you're, so Daniel is a good example of, or like any of the lazy gaming guys or um, anybody that I know that's a content creator.
Yeah.
If they tell me they watch my stuff, I don't care. And the reason why is I know they get the struggle and I know they've gone through the highs, the lows, the embarrassing moments, the
Yeah.
challenges, the trials, the tribulations, all that. So they get it. So like if Daniel watches one of my live streams and I tell a joke and the joke bombs, like I'm not embarrassed that Daniel listened to it
Yeah.
because he's probably told a joke that bombed on his podcast, right? Or lazy gaming guys, if they were to watch, like Julian commented on our last podcast, I- I'm sure I said something stupid somewhere in the hour, right? I don't care. Julian knows what it's like to say something stupid on a live stream
Yeah. As
or a
yeah.
podcast. He's done both.
But also, like,
So
there is like weird, like Sphinx, for example. I've never met Sphinx, and I'm fine with him watching the videos, and I'm sure
yeah, but
I could have a
he's
conversation
so
with him
cool
about
though.
it. But it's just like if someone in your personal life is like,
Yeah.
I know my mom listens to this podcast, but every time she texts me about it, I get weird.
Yeah, it kind of threw me off when I found out my mom watches my videos every once in a while.
But
Anyway, we got
yeah,
really in the weeds here.
just go
Cable
back to the
guy.
cable guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, and also, so Matthew Broderick and Jim Carrey. It's also a Judd Apatow movie, which is also like a very like you either like them or you don't. Um, I'm very selective on Judd Apatow movies I like. At the top
yeah,
of my head, I think Pineapple Express would be the only one that I would endorse. That's just a weird one that was like always on MTV that I've
yeah.
seen like countless times. That I wouldn't necessarily say is a good movie, but it's something I would watch. I don't know,
True.
just because it's on MTV so much. But yeah, I didn't find this movie that funny. I think the performances are great, and it just doesn't work for me. That's kind of my main opinion. It's a 4 out of 10.
Well, I sometimes I just don't know why I even bother doing this segment. So I think it's really good. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it's 10 out of 10 because personally I would say that, but I'm gonna try to be as objective as possible. I gave this one a 7.5 out of 10
Yeah,
because I think it's really funny.
I mean, it's a comedy. You
Um,
have to be subjective though. It's like the
it's definitely got a lot of
one
subjectivity to
genre
it.
where you have to be completely subjective, or your review isn't doesn't because I guess there is one I can mention, but movies don't. If it's a comedy, it just doesn't work in any other way. It's just made to make you laugh. Besides, the only thing I can think of, Doctor Strangelove, is hilarious, but it's also a great movie, and you can watch that movie without even like thinking it's a comedy at all. But Doctor
Yeah.
Strangelove to me is hilarious, and I find it very funny.
Well, I mean, again, like most weeks, agree to disagree, and
I mean, it brought
I
forth
would tell you
a
go out
great
there
conversation.
and check it out. It definitely did, yeah.
My brother, speaking of our conversation, which kind of was not about the movie, my brother listened to the podcast, and Leon the Professional, he was like, he texted me, he's like, oh, finally I'll pick a movie that I actually know. And then after the review, he's like, y'all didn't even talk about it, like, at all. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. Also, one last thing I want to put out there. A lot of people have the misconception, and there's an urban legend out there that originally this role was written for Chris Farley, but he wasn't able to do it because he had passed away. I do want to clear that up
Which
and
role?
say,
The Jim Carrey role?
yeah.
I don't know.
So
I feel like it's
that
very Jim
part,
Carrey.
well, sure, but I also think that Chris Farley could have pulled this off as well. It might have been a little bit different, but I think that
Yeah.
he could have made it work. But I just got to say, I hear people say this all the time. Oh yeah, Cable Guy was originally written for Chris Farley, but he died. This was released well before he passed away, and he actually turned it down for scheduling conflicts. So
Hmm.
while Jim Carrey wasn't the first choice, it wasn't that he basically took the role because Chris Farley passed away.
I
So
mean, not everybody's first choice. Brokeback Mountain, the two actors weren't the first choice.
yeah, you're right. Sometimes, and I would say this is definitely one of those cases. I don't know, man. I love Chris Farley and I love a lot of stuff that he's done, but I don't know that it would have been as good.
I mean, they're
I
similar
think I think Jim
comedians,
Carrey is
but I feel like
yeah, but I
Jim
think Jim
Curry is
Carrey's
perfect for
performance.
this movie.
Yeah, I think Carrey's performance would have ended up better than Farley's
Yeah.
if we were to somehow create an alternate universe, because like I
And there's no way to know.
really I really sympathized with the Chip Douglas character, and I think that that's a big part of what makes it so funny. But anyway, that's my final note. 7.5 out of 10. Go check it out.
I don't know why you're so was like I hate doing this. We had a great discussion. It's not like I hated the movie or anything. It just didn't
I
work.
know, but it's just every week everything stinks. I'm so
That's
tired of
not every week though.
everything stinks on this segment.
Alex,
If it's not yogurt, it stinks.
that's not even true at all. But
It is so
um,
true.
so my pick this week. I've done this twice before. This
Uh,
is my third time doing it. Alex, I made. Well, technically, you can count roulette as one of these, so I've done it 3 times before. This is the fourth. But the 2 times I did just like this, I present you 3 movies. I give you a genre. You pick the genre. Last time I did this, the first time I did this, you picked science fiction, and we got Under the Skin, which
mm,
we can say is a great pick. The second time we
oh
did it,
yeah.
you picked romance, which was Harold Ahmad, another great pick. So this segment seems to be turning out great movies. So
Mm.
I present to you, we can go with science fiction, romance, or random.
Well, we went science fiction, we went romance. Let's go random.
I was kind of hoping you would go with that. So this is a movie that we've both seen before. This is the first time I think a film club pick has ever been picked with me knowing that we've both seen it before. Or I feel like
Probably.
you have never picked a movie knowing that I've seen it. Oh, besides Road Trip. Road Trip is it's different.
Yeah.
But Road Trip is the second pick, so it's been a long time since we've ever done that. And it's also, since you picked Battlefield Earth, I picked all these movies. I picked great movies to combat you picking bad movies.
Mm.
But I always want to pick good movies, but I want it specifically for this one.
Battlefield Earth is good.
It
It's
is a
good.
animated movie. Which, fun fact, I'm the only person to ever pick an animated movie for Film Club ever. So you and fans need to step it up and appreciate animation.
That's fine. I'll
Uh,
Dick Figures the movie is animated, so
and also, I've been kind of sad recently. So
oh,
this is
I'm
a
sorry.
nice pick me up. I love this movie with all my heart. And my pick is from 2018, directed by Wes Anderson, The Isle of Dogs.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And should be a great time. Oop.
Yeah, I'll have to rewatch that one. I want to say that I'd have to go back and see when Ashley got her tattoo, her most recent tattoo.
Yeah.
Well, no, not her most recent tattoo. She got a Pikachu tattoo, and it's Pikachu dressed as Harry Potter. It's amazing. But I went with her to the tattoo studio, and I just sat there and watched Isle of Dogs
Yeah,
the entire time. It flew by, and it was a really interesting film. So
I
I'm
love it.
looking forward to covering
Yeah,
it, and I'll be it's a really interesting film. I'm looking forward to covering it, and I can't wait to rewatch it.
yeah. I watched it with Josh and Erica in a movie theater with two other people in the entire
Oh
theater.
wow! Shout out to Erica.
Yeah. So,
Hi.
uh, you can find it on YouTube, Google Play, and Amazon for $3.99, or Vudu for $14.99. And let me see if my VPNers out there can find it another way. And also, it's a just like comedy. Apparently, it's on Cinemax if you have
Oh
a
really?
Cinemax
Okay.
subscription. But there's no like Mexican Netflix or anything like that. Um,
Well,
it's
fun
also
fact: Andy gave me the voodoo code for it, so thank you, Andy,
yeah.
again.
You watched it at the tattoo parlor with my Voodoo code.
Yeah, with the voodoo code. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Um, yeah, it's great. It's another movie like this pick where Wes Anderson's a very you either love the guy or hate the guy.
Hmm.
Um, that's how this movie
I,
is.
I I would I would agree with that. I think a lot of Wes Anderson stuff. It is a little bit polarizing, if you will. I'm probably one of the people who lands on the I like most of what he does side, I guess you would say.
Yeah, but that is it on time, Alexander.
All right, well, wrap up. So, as always, t-shirt link in the description. I found out this week, and thanks to Bobby for bringing this up. I didn't even know it was a thing. But if you're looking for a face mask, like one of those cloth face masks, you can buy one of those in the store with our logo on it. And believe it or not, Bobby bought two of them, so I want to thank him for that. But T Public, they send you like an email. They don't tell you who bought it, but they tell you how much you earned from it. If you buy a cloth face mask, we make more money on that in terms of the commission than we do on a t-shirt. So stay
How much
safe
is
out
the
there.
face mask?
I think they're like $12 to $14. They have a couple different options and
Yeah,
the price scales. But like even when the t-shirts are on sale, they're 14. The regular price on the like I guess the top model face mask is like 14. And like we get $6 every time somebody purchases one of those. So again, thanks to Bobby for purchasing one. We really appreciate it. And go out there, get yourself one of those and stay safe, or get yourself a t-shirt if you don't feel you need a mask, because
just
a
wrap
lot
the
of
t-shirt
people
around your
don't
head.
feel it. Well, you do both. So yeah, that's in the description. Patreon link also in there. You go to patreon.com/DCD podcast. You see all the different tiers. Um, my favorite tier is the egg tier for $1 a month. Scales up from there. There's a lot more perks, but for just $1 a month, you get early access and all kinds of other perks. Want to thank Dumbest Sphinx in the egg tier. Want to thank our Patreon gold tier members, Jared, Daniel, Bobby, and Drake. Thank you for your contributions. You guys are awesome. We were able to pay for podcast hosting. We put a little bit of money into advertising to help some people find the show. And I used a little bit of the money for some other costs that came up. Oh, the email addresses that we have. And yeah, if you can't support us monetarily, you can do a few things to help us out. You can tell a friend about the show. That's absolutely free. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. That's also free. And you could leave us a review on iTunes. Again, it's all free and it helps more people find the show. Um, and oh yeah, go to deadchannelduo.com. You find us everywhere we're located. And one final thing, special thing I wanted to do this week. Today is actually my mom's birthday, and I wasn't able to see her. I did call her, leave a voicemail. So did want to give my mom a shout out. I don't even know if she listens to this, but happy birthday, Mama Swordfish. I love you. You're awesome. You're the best mom I could ever ask for, and you're the strongest person I know. because I don't know anybody who could survive through the things that you went through and still raise 3 kids. So I really appreciate you, Mom. Happy 60th. And call your mom. Be good to your mom. She's been good to you. And that's it for me. Andy, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No, not really.
Nope.
Happy birthday,
Okay.
Swordfish Mom.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure she appreciates that if she listens to this show. I know she does sometimes, but I don't
Yeah.
think she listens to every
I visited
episode. But
my mom
anyway,
this week out of
oh
surprise. I
really?
just didn't tell her I was going. She was an hour away. I just showed up without asking or like telling her.
Yeah, I'm so afraid to interact with my mom on a close physical,
Yeah.
like, yeah, because Ashley works at a hospital, and I'm obviously a little bit younger. Do the math. You know how old my mom would
You
be,
just said it like
and
3 sentences ago, but
yeah, well, there. Oh, yeah, that's right. I did mention that. So, I'm just so afraid that I'm asymptomatic, and if I ever caused my mother any kind of health
yeah.
complications, I would never forgive myself. I literally would never forgive myself. So, when I saw her for Mother's Day, we talked from her front porch and had a really good discussion, but wasn't able to see her today. So, yeah. Anyway, that's gonna do it for DCD 82. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
All right.